Well, I'm back. Here's another 10 retro-inspired FPS games that you need to play. Herat is inspired by Quake and Chasm the Rift. Herat is a Czech noun that roughly translates to English as tip, point, or spike. The game is set in 1980s Cold War-era Czechoslovakia following a nuclear disaster. It isn't just content with emulating classic 90s shooters, but it carves its own niche within the boomer shooter genre. The game is a solo developer project and runs on a custom engine. Herat's bleak dystopian atmosphere blends horror elements within a dreary, desolate brown landscape. I also really appreciate the game's satirical humor and absurd enemies like headless chickens, bumper car riders, anthropomorphic newts, and a creature named Pedro that has the appearance of a chewed-up wad of gum. Herat is undoubtedly a passion project and is one of the finest boomer shooters ever created. ULTRAKILL fuses retro shooter mechanics from games like Quake with contemporary shooters like 2016's Doom and the style of the Devil May Cry franchise. The game's setting is inspired by Dante's Inferno and takes place in a world where humanity is now extinct. ULTRAKILL's protagonist is a machine known as V1, who is fueled by blood. V1 descends into hell with bloodlust, determined to slaughter demons to survive. There are no traditional health packs. Showering yourself in enemy blood regenerates your health. The game has 6 different weapon types: revolver, shotgun, nail gun, rail cannon, rocket launcher, and arm, each with an alternate fire option and 3 variants. ULTRAKILL is currently in early access. I look forward to playing the full release of this fantastic FPS. Nightmare Reaper is a perfect mixture of 90s FPS, roguelite, and looter shooter. The game is considerably longer than most other boomer shooters due to its procedurally generated design and its massive amount of content. Nightmare Reaper's arsenal is gargantuan, with 80 unique loot-dropping weapons. The game's metal soundtrack was created by the composer of Doom Eternal and Dusk and is high energy and brutal. Nightmare Reaper's skill upgrades are unlocked by playing 3 retro-inspired minigames modeled after Super Mario Bros. 3, Pokemon, and Gradius. If you love old-school FPS gameplay and looter-shooter progression, then Nightmare Reaper is one nightmare you won't mind revisiting again and again. Wizardom triggered my memories of playing 1992's The Catacomb Abyss. Wizardom combines elements from pre-Doom games like The Catacomb Abyss and Wolfenstein 3D, and then adds the mechanics from games like Heretic and Hexen. You are one of the last mages of the Wizardom Sanctuary, and it's your duty as the player to thwart the evil forces of chaos as one of 2 classes: a cleric, who wields a mace, and the sorceress, who is equipped with a wand. One of my favorite things about Wizardom is the in-game level editor. The ability to create and share custom levels is the icing on this wonderful cake. Wizardom's score is exceptionally good, with fully orchestrated music that complements the game by adding deeply atmospheric pieces to every level. If you love classic shooters like I do, then Wizardom is a game you can't afford to miss. Wolfenstein 3D was the first FPS I ever played. I got serious flashbacks to Wolfenstein 3D when I started playing Project Warlock. The game infuses the gameplay and visual style of Wolfenstein 3D while adding modern enhancements. Project Warlock's skill tree allows players to allocate points in one of 4 stats: health, strength, capacity, and spirit. This approach provides the opportunity to customize builds based on the player's preference, either specializing in melee, magic, or guns. Across 5 worlds and 60 levels, you'll use 38 unique weapons against 72 different enemy types. Project Warlock's success led to a sequel, Project Warlock 2, which entered early access in 2022. I can easily recommend Project Warlock to any retro FPS enthusiast. I love Quake. Wrath Eon of Ruin runs on a modified version of the original Quake engine, so this game immediately scratched my nostalgic itch. The player assumes the role of the Outlander, who is tasked with destroying the remaining guardians of the old world, who have fallen into corruption. Wrath Eon of Ruin has a varied arsenal of weapons, ranging from a charged melee weapon called the Ruination Blade to a molten ore launcher called the Slag Cannon. There are also 10 artifacts within the game that grant the player time-limited abilities, such as turning enemies against each other, and short-term invincibility. For all you VR lovers out there, a VR version of Wrath Eon of Ruin was released this year on Steam and PS5. If you enjoy nostalgic gameplay, challenging combat, and satisfying weapons, then playing Wrath Eon of Ruin is a no-brainer. Viscera Fest is a lightning-fast shooter. The game stars Caroline, a mercenary fighting aliens to earn extra cash to buy a wedding ring. Viscera Fest is built around movement. Standing in place is to invite death. To survive, the game encourages players to bunny hop and remain airborne. It produces a combat rhythm in which movement and shooting are done in tandem. The game's 9 weapons feature some of the usual genre staples, like a double-barreled shotgun. However, Viscera Fest has unique weapons, like the Plague Rifle, which emits a toxic cloud that damages enemies. Caroline is well voice acted, and there are plenty of one-liners, so they don't repeat all too often. Viscera Fest is extremely fast, non-linear, and darkly comedic, and recommended to all boomer shooter veterans. Head On runs on the GZ Doom engine, and is influenced by games like Doom, Heretic, Hexen, Thief, and Arx Fatalis. The game stars Zan, an orc warrior, who must fight to save her home from the hordes of hell. Originally conceived as a Doom mod, the game blossomed into a full standalone game that has deep lore, excellent level design, brutal fast-paced combat, exploration, and puzzle solving. Head On has exciting weapon selection, a multi-genre soundtrack, and 6 difficulty settings. Selecting Berserker difficulty restricts the player to only 4 special melee weapons: a hatchet and shield, a fire hammer, a force pike, and a great axe. Head On Bloodright is a free sequel to the original that combines both episodes into a single game. You should play Head On Bloodright if you like a game that has a rich narrative, non-linear level design, exhilarating, gory combat, light RPG elements, and modding support. Playing through the Citadel reminded me somewhat of Bungie's Marathon trilogy. Like those games, the Citadel has a manual reloading system, a similar HUD design, and a dark, dystopian setting. Players control a female warrior, known as the Martyr, whose character design was modeled after Aeon Flux. I love the level design of the Citadel, which blends anime stylings with art inspired by the works of H.R. Giger, who is best known as the set and creature designer of classic sci-fi films like 1979's Alien and 1984's Dune. Blast enemies into chunks using 14 different weapons across 30 levels. A sequel to the Citadel, Beyond Citadel, was released in 2025, and it continues the excellence from the first game. The Citadel is a brutal FPS that has deep weapon upgrades, lots of gore, and a stellar graphical style. Every fan of classic 90s shooters should not pass up playing the Citadel. In the game Incision, blood sprays and gore flies. It's your job to stop the spread of a substance called the Growth, which has turned an industrial city into a nightmarish world. The game's atmosphere is gritty and grotesque, and its body horror aesthetic properly sets the dark, hellish tone. Incision's weapons selection is outstanding, with standout weapons like the Jawbreaker, a 3-barreled shotgun, the Saw Spear, a chainsaw spear hybrid, and Kitty, a bioenergy launcher. This game has no quick saves, no checkpoints, and uses a lives system, which means that levels have to be beaten in one go. Any retro FPS lover who is seeking a shooter that is ultra-violent, brutal, and fun, with an adrenaline-fueled metal soundtrack, unique weapon variety, and a high difficulty that is also fair, then Incision is the game for you. This concludes my two-part video series on great retro-inspired first-person shooters. If there's any games or genres or consoles that you want me to cover in the future, please let me know in the comments. Be sure to check out these two videos that I made. And if you haven't already, remember to hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of The Voiceover Gamer.